this is Sierra and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another Hermitcraft, the Clockwork story, featuring Jem as the main character of this perspective, because it's her perspective. And just so you know, be careful of spoilers. If you haven't read any of the other stories, you probably should, and, well, there are other spoilers to come. But I guess you'll see that when that comes. I just need to do a quick intro because, last time I tried to read this, the whole thing crashed. It's not fun. It's not fun dealing with storage and all that. I really do need to get a computer. I keep saying it, but yeah, never mind. I keep saying it, but it's too much to ask. It's much too much to ask. Especially with the broadcast coming later this month. As of recording, as you can clearly see that there is a broadcast about to be coming next week. Yeah, next week. Anyway. Now we go to episode 18, story 5, chapter 1. Pop it in. Jem rummaged through one of the many chests in her storage room as she selected a few materials for the build she was planning to do for the day. It wouldn't be an ambitious build, but it would be something she could do while her escort, Matthias, was patrolling the area. Pearl and her escort had gone off to help another hermit with a project for the day, as she knew the two of them had the area to themselves. Once she was satisfied with what she had gathered up, some building blocks as well as other materials to blend in the terrain with the build, she closed the chest and began heading for the front door, focused and prepared for anything. She didn't take long to arrive at the door as she opened it, letting in the autumn breeze as she looked around the coloring leaves which were scattered along the ground. It had been a while since the last attack by Mr. A's men, and she was glad Pearl, Cup, and Scar had managed to get out of that mostly unharmed. Thanks to Gran calling for backup, they had managed to get there just in the nick of time. Scar and Cup were now fully recovered and back to business, only taking a few days to recover, as she suspected. The 2 or 3 weeks wasn't really that long of time, though. She took a deep breath as she looked around the area, just spotting Matthias beyond the tree line as he circled around. The man was in his late 20s and had a structural build. She didn't see him all too well, but his copper-brown hair and hazel eyes were hard to miss. She glanced away from the trees as she glanced up into the bright blue sky, checking to see if there was anyone or anything flying from above. It looked pretty clear for now, as a smile appeared on her face, standing straighter as she walked purposely towards the far side of the 2 houses. She quickly plopped down a crafting table as she took out the first block, placing it down on the grass as she stepped back to study it before picking it up again and placing it a few blocks further away from the trees. Satisfied with the change, she got straight to work, double-checking to make sure all of the dimensions were correct as she piled blocks on more blocks, knowing something would come out of it. Even if she didn't like it, she could just tear it down. It wasn't that big of a deal anyway. Her progress was just about complete. She placed the last couple of blocks as she heard someone fly past her. As she looked up, just in time to see someone land gracefully to the ground, looking up at her curiously. She smiled at this. She recognized the hermit. "Hey, Impulse. You don't mind me dropping by?" Impulse asked calmly. "I was thinking of updating yours and Pearl's gadgets, if you were okay with that." "Oh, no, that's fine," Jem said quickly with a smile as she jumped down, landing on the ground with a small thud. "I was just about finished with this build here." "It looks nice," Impulse replied approvingly, as he paused for a moment before she gestured toward the house as they both walked over. "So what exactly are you updating?" she asked as they arrived at the door, which was still opened. As Impulse walked in, she followed not too far behind, both excited and curious as to what the hermit had been doing on his downtime. "Planning on adding mini speakers so that we can record any incidents that might happen if they happen," the YouTuber replied matter-of-factly, "as well as to patch a couple of bugs I found on the older models." "That's great," Jem said happily as they arrived to the top of the stairs and the YouTuber went for the machine. hanging on the wall in the hallway. She watched as he tinkered away, attaching something small to the device as it beeped and hummed a couple of times before a small light turned green. Looks like this one had no issue updating, Impulse said with a nod. I'm gonna pop over to Pearl's and make sure hers is updated and leave you to do whatever you were doing. Are you sure you don't need anything? Jim asked softly. The young man shook his head. Nope, I'm pretty good here. Hopefully I'll catch you soon. Have a good one, Jim said with a wave as she watched him go down the stairs. She stood there for a moment, glancing over at the gadget, seeing everything appeared to be as it should be, before walking back toward the stairs, climbing down them one by one until she arrived at the bottom. She went over to the door and opened it, walking back out into the sunlight outside. She walked over to a nearby chest and opened it, picking up as many things as she could carry before going back to the house to store it away properly in her storage room. It was better for everyone to try to keep the area as clean and less cluttered as possible. Though it wasn't perfect, it was better than nothing. She took a few more trips back and forth before she managed to take care of most of the things that had a place, as she broke the chest and put it in a more convenient spot that wasn't in the way of anything. She looked back at what she had built and smiled. It did look pretty nice. A good feature to have in this area. The moment of silence didn't last long when she heard a firework explode within the trees as her head turned to see a few red sparkles in the distance that she frowned. They hadn't heard from Mr. A's men in a few weeks, but why were they attacking now? Who had called for help? Was it a trap? Unease filled her as she saw another firework launch into the sky, this time a little more visible, as the red sparkles contrasting into the blue sky. She took a deep breath, glancing over where Matthias would be, seeing he had disappeared. Maybe he was going to check it out. She knew she should probably stay, since Impulse was also here. The last thing any of them wanted was for one of the hermits to be alone again, but she wasn't sure. A part of her felt like she should go. What's going on out here? Everything all right? A voice asked from behind her as she turned to see Impulse walking up to her curiously. I heard fireworks go off. I'm honestly not sure. I think Matthias is looking into it, though. We didn't really exchange words or anything, she replied. Do you think we should take a look? The YouTuber asked with uncertainty. I don't think it would have hurt, honestly, she admitted. As long as we're careful, of course. Great, he agreed with a smile, pulling out a racket. So, which way should we go? She hesitated for a moment before pointing a little away from where she saw the last firework go off. Around there might be a good start. Impulse nodded as he jumped and fired himself into the air, soaring above her as she followed him into the sky. They both glided over the trees for a few moments, circling a couple times to check on the area every now and again. She finally decided to land as she gently landed in a nearby clearing of trees, looking around the area as the other YouTuber joined her. Do you see anything? Jim asked him thoughtfully, trying to squint into the shrubbery beyond. Nope, looks clear to me, Impulse reported. I saw another clearing not too far from here. I can quickly scout that one if you want. Please be careful, she insisted before he launched himself back to the air, disappearing from sight as she looked back into the woods, starting to walk to the other side of the clearing, wondering if she should wander deeper. She took several steps into the woods, hidden by trees and bushes as she walked around, first hearing nothing but the humming of bees or the twittering of birds overhead. It was calm and relaxing. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. A few moments of walking later, though, she did hear something. Voices. They didn't sound familiar as she hid herself behind some bushes as she realized they were getting louder. He couldn't have gone far, one of the voices said with frustration. Do you think he's trying to get to one of the other bases? So, we need to figure out which one it is, the second voice replied. I don't think he'd be that risky again after what happened last time. She swallowed, knowing exactly what the men were talking about. The attack that had left both Scar and Cub on bed rest for several days. The men had relentlessly followed Pearl, Green, and Scar, who had escaped from them and took shelter at Cub's place. No doubt they'd do it again, but if that's what it took to fulfill their mission. But who exactly were they going for, and why? Suddenly, her attention was briefly diverted by a little tap on her shoulder. She looked over to see, to her surprise, Scar looking back at her. A sleeve of his brown suit was slightly torn, but there didn't seem to be any sign of damage. "What are you doing here?" she whispered in a hushed tone. "I'd ask the same of you. Did you come to help?" He asked quietly. "I guess you're the one who launched those fireworks," she admitted. He nodded with a small smile. "Yeah, that was me. Those men tried to ambush me, but I just barely managed to outsmart them so far." "Yeah, that's good," she whispered back. "Where's Devin, though?" "I don't know. We got separated." Scar sighed and he shook his head. She nodded as she looked back toward where the men were, who now had stopped talking. Had they heard them? Or were they trying to come up with a plan? "Let's go back to my place and we can come up with a plan there." "That's a good idea," Scar replied quietly as he slowly tried to slip away from the two men. As I slowly did. It's a bit worrying, though, just seeing the two of them. "There's more?" she asked, in surprise. He nodded. "At least a dozen of them, if not more. This mission is clearly important for some reason. But let's hope we can spoil it," she said with a smile. He returned the smile as they slipped behind some trees, just before Scar stopped her in her tracks. She looked up to see one of Mr. A's men staring right at them, half surprised before a smile appeared on his face. "Fancy seeing you two here," the man said simply. "You managed to run into one of your friends now, didn't you?" "Yeah," Scar said defiantly. "What are you going to do about it?" "I'll figure that out when I have both of you secure," the man said with a cold smile, put his fingers to his lips and made a shrill whistle, which she knew alerted the two men from behind them. "Run!" she exclaimed as both she and Scar ran into the woods, hearing the men chasing them from behind. She didn't dare look behind her, not wanting to know just how close these men were to catching up. "We really should get some high ground," Scar admitted as he managed to keep up with her. "That's true, but we need to find some place where we won't get caught in branches," she pointed out. She glanced up, seeing the bare, gnarly branches above them. They could easily get tangled up in them if they weren't careful. "I also want to make sure Impulse is okay." "He's with you?" Scar asked with a frown, as they took another turn, attempting to lose their pursuers, who were attempting to use ender pearls, but they were unsuccessful so far. "He was. He went off to check another clearing," she admitted. "I'm sure he can get out once he realizes what's going on," the YouTuber replied somewhat confidently. "They only seem to be after me, not any of you." "Why, though?" she asked as she noticed a clearing ahead. A light seemed to glow on the other side as they realized where they were going. "We need to make another turn." She tried to go over to her left, but was forced to turn away when a man suddenly appeared in front of her, trying to grab her. She saw another man to her right, yet none of them teleported in front of them. "We can fly, we can make it over there," Scar told her. "We got this." "I hope so," she admitted as she charged forward, breaking into the clearing as she stood face to face with the portal that had taken her here. The path leading to the old shopping district could still be visible on the other side of the clearing, alongside as a new path leading towards where all the bases were located. She took out a rocket, attempting to fly when an arrow flew over her head as she yelped in surprise, looking back to see about 6 men had chased them here, 3 of them holding bows. "Try to fly, we will shoot you down," one of the men warned as he stepped forward. "Try to run, and we'll shoot you as well." "I thought you wanted me unharmed," Scar insisted. "Never said that, YouTuber," the man scowled. "If we have to hurt you, we can, and we will." Jem swallowed as she looked over at Scar, their eyes meeting momentarily before she adjusted her eyes back at the men. "It's funny that you walked right into our trap," the man added, after the two of them didn't say anything. "Why did you bring us here?" Jem demanded firmly. "Oh, I only needed him," he admitted, pointing at Scar. But you'll be a welcome bonus too." "You didn't answer my question," she said sourly. "You'll find out soon enough," the man retorted casually with a smirk. "Now, I'm giving you a choice: surrender, or we'll make you cooperate." You're already threatening us with those arrows," Scar admitted simply. "And I'm not afraid to use them if that's what it takes," the man replied coolly. "Now, what do you say?" Jim glanced back over at the portal, noticing the white glow as she pondered where it could possibly lead to. Something about this didn't seem right, but there was little choice in the matter. "I know what was on your mind," the man sneered as she snapped her head back, catching a smile on the man's, and looked at her. "We'll just follow you through. You're trapped. Not exactly, she admitted. She looked over at Scar, who nodded his head, seeming to see what she was thinking. If I'm quick enough, maybe I can buy us some time. The man laughed. Not if we beat you to it first. Get the 3 men charged towards them as Jem grabbed Scar's arm and pulled him towards the portal, just as one of them lunged. Scar yelped in surprise. He managed to swat the man's attempt away as they were inches from the portal. She turned back briefly to see one of the men lunging at them again, just as a figure jumped from above and tackled the man to the ground. Go! I'll be right behind you, Matthias shouted as the two of them, his voice clear and firm. Jem nodded, not questioning him for a moment, though part of her felt an edge of sadness. She pulled Scar through the portal, but the light consumed them both, losing the sense of where she was or what was going on, and she felt the familiar sensation of falling. Unfortunately, this is where I'm going to have to end it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know you can see chapter 2 right there, but it's going to have to wait. I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I will see you in the next one, whenever that might be. Feel free to leave your theories in the comments below. You've already gotten a hint. What is it going to lead to? Where's that portal going? I don't know. You're going to see. Goodbye.